Alright, and here it is. This is going to be my out-of-box review for the Kotobukiya Zoids 1/72nd scale high-end master model Liger Zero Jager. And yeah, it's been a while since I built the HMM Liger Zero Schneider, and I forgot how big these kits are. This thing is quite large, as you'll see when I give you a size comparison here in a bit, but yeah, they're quite big, and they're just a lot of fun to build, guys. As much as I am not really that big of a fan of most Zoids kits in general, they're just really fun to build, I have to say. You build up the whole inner frame, everything kind of inner skeleton of it, I guess, inner frame. And even just with that, you've got a really super cool model kit. I mean, just painting up and like detailing up just the inner frame of this kit with all the details and everything of that would be just a fun kit on its own. But then you add on like all the extra armor and just kind of armaments and equipment kind of on the outside of that. And it just makes it a really fun kit to build. Now, I will say, not really meant for beginners. I think it could be okay for beginners, but you do have a lot of little fiddly parts. I would definitely recommend gluing like some of the parts in if you're having a part that keeps like popping out or something like that when you're trying to move the kit around. And again, these are definitely more towards the model kit aspect, whereas I mentioned this in a previous review recently about kind of model kits falling somewhere on something of a scale between model kit and toy, where I mentioned most Bandai Gunpla kits are kind of more towards toys. I mean, they're model kits by definition, but they're very durable, and you can play with them and whatever, and you can play with it as a toy, and you're really not going to hurt anything. With this kit, you have a lot more little fine parts that can pop out and get lost easily while you're moving things around and like that. So I will go over the articulation kind of in general with this, but I won't get like too manhandly with this, just because the kit is just not really made for that. That said, it seems that one of the biggest complaints about these kits is just the price, that they're very expensive, but I think if you consider what you're getting with this is basically like a pretty big and very detailed master grade. So with the list price of 7,000 yen for this kit, that'd be comparable to, well, let's say for example, the Full Armor Unicorn Verka, pretty big master grade kit with all the different weapons and everything like that. That's 8,000 yen, which is actually more expensive than this. Now, yeah, that comes with all the clear parts for the cycle frame, and it transforms and all of that. But in terms of just like how complicated and how detailed the kits are, I think this is on a very similar playing field to that. So actually the price, considering for what you get, I think it's totally justified. Yes, they are expensive, and this is just one of them. Of course, the prices range from around 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 yen, and then up to over 10,000 yen, of course, for some of the larger, more expensive ones. And then, of course, you have like the really huge ones like the Gojulus, which is just like crazy. But if you're looking to get one of the Kotobukiya HMM series Zoids kits, and like it's a design that you really like and you're just wondering if it's really worth the price or not, I can promise you really probably will not be disappointed with this. Now, like I said, it's not really a thing that's meant to be used as a toy to like play around with, but in terms of just having a super nice, super detailed display piece of a really cool design, you will definitely be happy with what you get for that price. Okay, so for a quick size comparison, here you can see it compared with a 1/144 scale and 1/100 scale Gundam plastic model. As I mentioned way back when in my review of the Liger Zero Schneider, what my plan is for these kits eventually is to do each one like a pair up of a master grade kit paired up with one of these Zoids HMM Liger kits. So like for the Liger Zero Schneider, I'm planning on pairing that up with the master grade Astray Blue Frame D. Very similar style, and I think when painted in the same colors, they'll look really cool together. And just to keep all the master grades within the Seed series, I'm going to be pairing up the Liger Zero Panzer with the Buster Gundam. Obviously very similar in terms of their weapon stylings and things like that. So the Liger Zero Panzer is actually another kit that I need to review for you guys. I haven't got around to building that one. I had to build this one first. But I will be reviewing the Liger Zero Panzer in the future as well. And as for this kit, I'm actually not sure which kit I want to pair this up with quite yet. I'm thinking possibly maybe the Justice Gundam, because it has a kind of similar aesthetic with like the wings folding out and things like that. So that's probably the closest thing in terms of trying to match something aesthetically to this. Obviously the colors don't match at all. I'll have to go with a different color scheme for those. But anyway, let's take a look at some points of articulation and gimmicks on the kit, shall we? So as I said, this is probably going to be easier said than done, so bear with me here. So here in the mouth we have some of those really cool gold parts. So it's a really white gold color, but that's just, it's not plated, it's just that's the color of plastic that we get with that. We do have some plated gold parts for some piston details here around on the legs. You'll see those. Not too noticeable, but they do make for some nice little touches in there if you're not going to be painting the kit. For the face, though, looking really cool. It's very wide if you look at it from the front. You don't really notice it from the side, but it's quite a wide head, especially with the wings coming out to the side and everything. So, of course, the mouth does open and close there. Top of the head does open up, and we have our pre-painted pilot figure sitting inside there, which is pretty cool. A clear green part, which is really hard to see, but it's there. And then clear orange there for kind of the eyes, or windows, I guess, on the side of the cockpit. Really cool little detail here, is kind of easily missed, is a little Gatling gun here on the sides of the head, sort of similar to like the Vulcan guns on a Gundam. Nothing else really moves here on the front of the head, but on the top of the head, these bits on the top, those will move up and down. These blade bits on the side will move back and forth. It's going to be really hard to see, but those will move back and forth inside there. And this one underneath as well, this one will move up and down. The head itself is just on a ball joint, so you can kind of move that around. But again, with all this stuff kind of sticking out around on the side, it's kind of, you have to be careful when moving that around. But that will move up and down and then side to side. Up underneath there, if I can pull this out, we do have our Zoids core, which is in this cool little piece there. We have a little orange piece, separate piece there for this little bit here, square on the front, and then this kind of like marbly piece there in the center. This, I found in this one, it's kind of loose and it slides out very easily. Maybe I just haven't pushed it back in like to click far enough, but I think that's just in there as is, but it's very loose and it slides out. But what you can do is with this part underneath the head, you just kind of push that back, and that kind of like keeps that from sliding out. You also have this little, what I am thinking is some sort of gun on the bottom. Again, I'm not sure exactly, but that will rotate and move around like so. It moves up and down a little bit, but you can move that. At the base of the neck too, where the neck kind of joins with the body, there's a joint there as well, so you can kind of move that side to side there at the base. And like I said, the head is on a ball joint, so you can get some pretty nice articulation all throughout like the main body. There's a few different points of articulation there where you can actually bend the torso, and so it actually moves very similar to like an actual animal, which is based off of, obviously, with the kind of, I guess it's supposed to be a tiger. So that's what makes it look so good when you get into a pose, that the stance that you can get into looks very natural, and that looks good. So another thing that I'll point out here, you'll notice there's two different shades of white on all the new parts, on the exterior armor parts, like the extra equipment. It's in a really kind of straight white, if not even just like a tiny like drop of blue into that white. And then the white parts on like kind of the main Liger original parts in there is more of a off-white cream color. So you'll notice that from a distance it's not going to be very noticeable, but up close you can definitely notice that's two different colors of white. It's supposed to be like that, you may like that or not. Up here at the top we have our kind of two main engine things, I guess, here, and these can open up, and you have this kind of really nice detail of like those different fins inside there that will open up like that. It'll look really nice. We also have the wing on the side, which will swing out like so. Also here on the top of the front leg and the hind leg, we also have a wing that will swing out there like that as well. Above the wing here, this white part on the front and the back legs, that also kind of slides back a little bit. You can slide that part back ever so slightly just to have that kind of extended out a little bit. In the case of the back leg here, you can actually tilt that up and down as well. It's just like a little vent detail on there. So as I mentioned about the articulation within the kind of the main spine of the Zoid here, that is able to bend up and down there in the center, and then you can also bend that side to side at 2 points to get some really nice movement out of that center core area. The shoulder armor, which is what I'll call it for lack of a better word, is on a separate ball joint from the rest of the arm, so that moves freely on its own. And then the front leg, I guess, can move, of course, forward and back. It's on a ball joint, so that will move. It's actually a double ball joint at the base and then where the arm plugs in. So that will move around kind of all over the place. No problems with that. You have a second joint here and a third joint down here. Basically, wherever you have these kind of red knobs is where you have a joint. There's no way to rotate the legs, so you can't like get it pointed out completely to the side. But again, all the engineering seems to be in a way that is kind of in line with how the animal, I guess, that it's based off of would naturally move. And obviously a cat's leg is not going to point like straight out to the side. It just doesn't work that way. So it all makes sense. And so you can move everything in accordance to those joints there. And then the kind of paw, the hand, I guess here we have another joint there as well. And then that's also just on a ball joint. So no matter how you get the stance, you can get the feet to sit perfectly flat. And that's not an issue at all. We also have little wings here that will move up and down. It's just on a hinge. The front legs and back legs both have those there. For the feet, it's cool that you have like the gold parts and then you have this kind of light blue part inlaid into there to give you just some cool depth and detail in there. So again, just so much detail around on this kit, and this is not even painted at all. So once you go through and actually like paint in all the little details and little pistons and pipes and everything on that frame, especially panel line, all the armor and all of that, to give this a nice coat of top coat, it's going to be looking so good. Here in the back leg, it's basically the same story. You have an extra joint though for the kind of backwards bend here of the hind leg. So of course you can bend that like that, and then bend it like that there. And then the joint for the hind foot just works the exact same as the front foot. So that's all very nice. And then you have the tail. There's quite a few points of articulation here, but this is also the part that I find falls apart the easiest. So I definitely would recommend gluing some of these parts at the hinges. So there's 1, 2, 3 points where you can just bend it like so. Pretty much at any point along the tail you can rotate that, so that's not an issue at all. And so you have basically 3 main segments, and each one has like its own bend, so you can try to like line those up in a way as you want. We have this really cool finned tail section here at the end, which I think looks quite nice. It acts, I guess, is sort of like a stabilizer kind of thing as well. Very cool detail on there. So that pretty much covers all of the articulation. I'm sure I missed some bits here and there because there's just articulation everywhere all over this kit, but I think you guys can get the idea that it's just very nice. Now, one thing too is that it does have a small little port there on the bottom for plugging this onto an action base. It's just the standard kind of 3mm peg. So while you... Yeah, so as I was just about to say, while you can put this up on an action base and have it up like this, it's not very stable. It's a pretty big and heavy kit, and all that point is centered onto one space, and I think that the point where they put the action base connector is pretty far back on the Zoid. They should have put it a little bit farther forward where it is on the underside of there. So it works fine, but I think if you really want to have this up in the air, probably your best bet would be to just build something yourself, build some sort of support arm for that. Or if you guys have any other ideas, I'm sure you can make it work and like it's fine, but I would be a little bit nervous about keeping this up on just a regular action base like this. That said, if you guys couldn't tell, this is a really cool kit, very nice. Highly recommend you guys checking one of these out. If you're a fan of Zoids or just looking for something different to build, grab one of these HMM kits. I've heard a lot of people recommend the Lightning Sykes as being one of the best ones as well. It's a pretty cool design. I may pick that up sometime eventually. It's not one that I particularly like. Aside from the 3 Ligers that I have now, probably the next one that I'll look at getting is just the Berserk Führer, just because I reviewed the old motorized version of that kit not too long ago, and I want to compare them, but also just because the Berserk Führer is just one of the designs that I really do quite like from the series. And so I do want to take a moment to once again say thank you to Samurai Buyer for supplying me with this kit. Again, the link to their site is down below. There's a few links there, you can check those. If you're looking to buy some Zoids kits, one of those links is to this kit directly. Another one is just to a list of Zoids kits that you can buy there new, and then another link is to a list that you can buy there on their auction page. So again, thank you to them. If you guys are interested in a place to buy some stuff like this, you can check the links there. And as always, guys, if you have any other questions or comments, or especially pointing out anything that I missed, because Zoids is just a property that I'm not too familiar with, so I'm sure there's maybe a few finer points about this that I maybe have forgotten to mention. So let me know down in the comment section down below. I always love hearing from you guys. And what do you guys think about this kit? What do you guys think about Zoids kits in general? I know there's a lot of love for them out there, and not a lot of coverage of them on YouTube in general, it seems like. So I know you guys are always pretty psyched to see anything Zoids. So I do like to review them every now and then, but like I said, there's just not really that many designs that I really love. That said, I really did enjoy building this kit quite a lot. It took quite a while. Definitely a lot of bang for your buck building this kit, so check it out. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Thanks for watching. See you next time.